if God tell us that the herbs are for the healing of the nations, in the book of Genesis, in the book of Ezekiel, in the book of Exodus, and the book of Revelation, it says that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. Then as I go further into the history of medicine, this is what I found, that the great Hippocrates used herbs to cure disease, and that he cured every disease known to man. This man was curing every disease in Greece 365 years before Christ was even born. So when people tell us that only Jesus heals, you remind them that Hippocrates was here long before he was born, 300 years. So I said, if Jesus cured with herbs, Hippocrates cured with herbs, and God said the herbs, then what's up? Why aren't we curing with herbs today? It is required of us to maintain the pH at 6.9. At 7, which is the neutral zone, pH of 7 is neutral. But if the pH is 7.1, oh, now you're going to experience life. I said that if life was so powerful that it could exist in a temperature of 450 degrees, then the herbs that heal would have to be alkali on 7 plus instead of acid 6.9. Then I begin to check the pH of all the herbs. I begin to test it. I test comfrey, acid. I test garlic, acid. I also tested aloe vera, St. John wort, rose hips, comfrey. All of these things are very acid. Carrot juice is extremely acid, yet the healers in New York then and now are still recommending these acid foods. So I said, well, let me investigate further to see which are the alkali herbs. And I begin to see that burdock, yellow dock, also the elderberry, these are alkali plants. Also the Virginia snake root, that's alkali. One has to know the herbs that are alkali opposed to the herbs that are acid. This today is not really considered, nor do they follow that particular, road or understanding, because the herbalists of today are recommending peppermint. Peppermint is very acid. Peppermint freezes the brain. Some even recommend peppermint oil. Peppermint oil is extremely caustic. So now we have this kind of information in front of us being disseminated and carried out. So there's confusion in the population. I remember being down to only $400. When I started this business, I only had $400. I started this healing journey with $400. And here I am today. A little girl in New York named Haja that was brought to us with a hole in her heart. She's now 16. A little girl was brought to me in Atlanta that was blind from age 8 to age 11 with a tumor on her frontal lobe. She no longer has the tumor on her frontal lobe. Her name is Mecca. And there's a little girl in Minnesota. Her name is Akila Stroud. She no longer has sickle cell anemia. And a month ago, I gave a lecture in New York, and a young lady came forth and said, well, I don't have lupus anymore. So these kinds of things tells us that we, the black race, has the answer to the world's health. We have the answer to their disease state. But we are afraid to take that responsibility because we live in fear. We're scared of white man. We're scared of God. We say that we fear God. I don't know why people fear God. People come to us. There was once upon a time where there were more white people coming to us. Chinese come to us. So these compounds killed everyone, whether you're black, white, Chinese, or Eskimo, providing they are natural. Certainly, it could not have been potatoes. It could not have been rice or beans or yams or chicken or hogs or cows. It could not be a goat or a lamb because all these things are hybrid. God did not make these things. These things came just recently. only 4,000 years ago. So what were we eating in Africa before we were taken away? What were we eating in Africa before there was an invasion by the man from Europe? We simply do not know. Mm-hmm. And it is because we are unaware of this diet that God made specifically for us. This is why we're angry today and we're so divided. Everybody's laughing at us. They're laughing more at me. On the airplane, the pilots came to see me a few weeks ago when I was in the plane before 911, and they were looking at the brochure that I had that says that AIDS has been cured and herbalists cure AIDS, and the Supreme Court of New York cannot deny, can't disagree. They were laughing at me. Why? Because you are not supporting me. So they think that I'm a fake. Because if it was a white man curing AIDS, the captain said, the whole white race would be supporting them, but my race is not going to support me. The leaders of America can't do it. Farrakhan can't do it. Jesse Jackson can't do it, because they were not designed to do this kind of work. They were designed to lobby and to talk and to, like Mr. Al Sharpton, he likes to make people march. That's cool. But we got a job to do in healing the black race now. That comes in a different category. That very seldom our leaders agree with their own selves. The leaders are at war. Mm-hmm. They're all in disagreement, because among the leaders, you find Muslims, you find Christians, you find Buddhists, you find all of that. And they all seem to disagree with each other's position. Mm-hmm. The politician, well, I don't know what role politics play in our progression health state. Mm-hmm. How we see it, again, is that we are not together on any issue that is pragmatic, that's going to elevate us in producing something for our own existence. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. And we are the only people on the planet that denies that. Mm. Is that the African people are eating a food that is so detrimental that you didn't have. And you see, the African people is eating cassava. Mm-hmm. Cassava is cyanide, pure cyanide, unadulterated. You didn't have that. Mm-hmm. And because you didn't have the cyanide, you were able to produce plastics, you were able to produce rubber, you were able to build the White House, you were able to produce electricity, you were able to produce agriculture, the African men. And no other black man in the world has ever done that. That shows that black America, even though taken away from motherland and given meat, which is responsible for our anger, mm-hmm. we are still able to do things that is over and above any other race in the world. The black race has proven that. And now that another one comes, your brother and servant, Dr.Sebi, it is not so surprising that he's curing AIDS and sickle cell. You know something? Curing AIDS is easy. Mm-hmm. Curing sickle cell is like play for me. Diabetes, we cure 10 a month. Yet, there aren't any centers in Germany that is beset with diabetes. There aren't centers in the United States that cure diabetes. We cure diabetes. Now, what are we going to do now?